Good morning, everybody. It's Stacy. We are ready for our Friday morning A to Z essential oil class. I am super excited to be with you this morning. We are talking about two of my favorite oils. Well, one of my absolutely favorite oils and the oil that changed my life. Today we're talking about Breathe oil. And this is the oil that I got introduced to first. This is the oil that totally transformed our family and what really got me started on our doTERRA journey. So I cannot wait to share more about this amazing oil with you. And then we're going to talk about cinnamon bark, which is another fantastic oil with so many different benefits. Hold on one second while I close out some things in the background. I thought they were all closed, but I don't want you guys to have notifications popping up all the way through our call. So let me close all those out. All right, I think we should be good now. Sorry about that. So here we go. First of all, we're going to talk about Breathe oil. Now, for those of you that are new to doTERRA or haven't used that, Breathe is the respiratory blend. So this is the one that we use for anything having to do with your respiratory system. My favorite use for it, obviously, is daily use. Many of you guys know my story and why I started using doTERRA. But for those of you that don't know that yet, just very, very briefly, I got into doTERRA because my daughter, when she was young, had some very, very severe respiratory issues. She was hospitalized over 18 times within 24 months. She spent a week on life support, and by the time she was 2, she was on 10 different prescriptions every single day, all to support her respiratory system. And no doctors could figure out what was going on or why we were having these struggles. And we finally figured it out, and we got some answers. And for us, fortunately, the answers came in the way of using different lifestyle choices and a lot of dietary changes. For her, all of her respiratory stuff was related to, well, not all, most of her respiratory stuff was related to food and additives and preservatives in food dye. So when she was about 2.5, almost 3, is when we started to discover that we did an elimination diet. We cut all of that out and really we only ate what we could make from scratch. We only ate whole foods, nothing store-bought, nothing processed, nothing convenient. And that was the first time that we had any break in her hospitalizations or in her respiratory issues. So I'm a huge fan of that. I do a class all about breathing and essential oils, and can talk more in detail about exactly what we did in our journey. But let me tell you, the first piece of that is this Breathe oil. I was first introduced to Breathe at a health fair, or actually it was a Christmas bazaar here in Monroe where I live. And I was going there with no intent of looking for answers or oils. I was just looking for Christmas gifts. And there was a doTERRA booth there, and I met Rosie Gremmer and Gail Wheeler at that booth. And I started talking to them, and I had used essential oils prior to doTERRA, and I had some experience with essential oils, but nothing that was consistent enough to be supportive for Katrina. The things that I had found would work sometimes, but not always. And so I had a lot of skepticism and a lot of questions around using essential oils with her. But Rosie asked, do you mind if she smells something while we're talking? Because at that point, Katrina coughed all the time. That was just her life. When you have a compromised respiratory system, you're constantly wheezing or coughing. And so Rosie just put a drop of the Breathe oil right in her hand, rubbed her hands together, and just started waving them like this right in front of Katrina as we were talking. And for the first time in years, Katrina went like 10, 15, 20 minutes without coughing while I was talking to Rosie and Gail. And I was like a sponge. I just wanted to know more, and I was asking all these questions. And eventually we got to the point where Rosie gave me a sample of the Breathe to take home and try that. And I borrowed a Modern Essentials book, and I stayed up all night reading it. And Katrina was using the Breathe oil, and we kept reapplying that until the sample ran out, and noticed a huge change right away. And because of that, I got started with doTERRA, and I started with just simply buying a bottle of Breathe and a bottle of Heliochrysum, because those were the 2 oils that I knew her body needed the most. I knew that that was going to make the biggest impact. And it surely did. Like, it is how my doTERRA business was born. I didn't think I would be doing this at the time. Most of you know I'm a single mom and have been since Katrina was about 3 months old. But really, ever since I can remember, I had no interest in doing something like this. I was a nanny. I loved my job. At that time, I was working 50 to 60 hours a week between 2 different families. And there was no room in my life or thought to do something like doTERRA. But really, it was my friends who kept noticing a difference in what Katrina was doing. They noticed that she was going outside in the cold, which was something she'd never been able to do. She was able to go to birthday parties and go out to social things, which she had not been able to do previously because her immune system was so compromised because of her constant hospitalizations. That we just couldn't do those things. And when they kept asking, I kept saying, I don't know, it's this crazy breathe oil and it's helping her and I don't really know anything about it. And they wanted information and they wanted to know more and they wanted it for their families. And so I started figuring it out and I went to a class with Leah. And it was at that point that we decided that this was something we were going to do as a business. And for me, it was not a decision of, I'm going to do this forever, full time. It was just, I wanted you guys, I wanted other people to have the hope that I had found with the essential oils. And I wanted to share what was working for us. Excuse me. And so that's what we've done. And now here we are 7 years later, no hospitalizations, no medications, just essential oils, lifestyle. We still deal with the respiratory issues every once in a while. Things still trigger her and she still has a hard time. But what I love most is that at the age of 11, she has learned how to identify within her own body, whether she's needing oils to support excess mucus in her lungs, whether she needs oils to support an overactive inflammatory response in her lungs, or if it's just the muscles are really tight and constricting. And she knows that. And she can identify really quickly what is going on and knows which oils to go to get to support her. So that's kind of where this can lead when you start using the oils with your kids at a young age. They become so in tune with their bodies. It's beautiful. But enough of my sidetrack and digression here. Just to talk specifically about the breathe oil. So this is a respiratory blend and it has cardamom, it has laurel leaf, peppermint, eucalyptus, ravensara. It's just a beautiful blend of all of these oils that come together and they together target all 3 of those different concerns that often are part of respiratory distress. But it's also an oil that not only does it help with that, but it can help when you have those little colds come along, when you're dealing with seasonal threats or allergies and you're sneezing a lot. Breathe can really help to support clearing your airways. It is a great oil to help just your respiratory system, to help with your sinuses, which is part of your respiratory system. It helps with congestion, easing congestion. Sometimes I'll use it and dot it on my sinuses. Sometimes I do a little bit right underneath my nose if I just want to constantly be breathing it. It's amazing in the diffuser. Anytime you have any respiratory stuff going on, whether it's just a little tickle or whether it's an ongoing issue, start using your Breathe in your diffuser. The thing that really turned the corner for us was using Breathe in a diffuser at night, every single night, because it was basically an 8 to 10 hour breathing treatment that Katrina was able to get every single night. And that made her so much stronger and her lungs so much better that all day long she was able to play and run around and didn't have the same issues. So that's some of that. One of the things that I wanted to share, I have to put my glasses on so I can read this part, was out of the emotions book, which I talk about every week. The respiratory blend is the oil of breath, go figure. But what that really means in terms of your emotional support, it's the oil that helps to just let things go. It helps to take the breath. There are many times that I've used Breathe emotional support just because people they're sobbing, they're crying, they're unconsolable, and nothing is slowing that down or helping. But putting a little bit of Breathe on my shoulder where they're laying their head, or just having them breathe it in, like through the cup method in their hands, it helps them to catch their breath. Breathe is also an oil that helps with grief. Louise Hayes, the author of You Can Heal Your Life, says there's a direct link between grief and lungs, and often grief is stored in your lungs. So if you have lost someone, or if you have had a hard time in a relationship, or there's just some grief going on, it doesn't necessarily have to be death. Grief comes in all forms and for many, many reasons, but that can also be a catalyst to using your Breathe oil, because you can help to let that go. The Breathe oil, it says, the root of this condition is feeling unloved. The individual grieves the love they never received, and they often shut down due to fear, not knowing whether the love they need will be there. They distrust whether it's safe to open and take in life. And the respiratory blend encourages individuals to release grief and sadness and to receive genuine love and healing. Beautiful, beautiful oil. I could go on about it forever, but I'm not going to, but I am going to share a couple different uses and ideas from Dr. Sue Lawton. First of all, like we've talked about, diffusing is a great way to use it. Breathe can be used topically, either on your chest or on your back. Generally for little ones, I will do both. Breathe is an oil that does not have to be diluted. It can be used neat. However, because of the peppermint in it, some little ones and some with sensitive skin think that tingly feeling is a little bit much. So no harm at all in diluting that and using it as a diluted application. But also, ladies, remember, if you're having respiratory issues, for us, it is more effective to put it on our back. Our lungs are generally a little bit closer to our back than to our chest when we're applying it topically. Although using it topically on your chest helps you to be inhaling it and breathing it. So that if you want the double effect, I would do it on your chest and your back. It is also one that, oddly enough, you can use in a blend to help with swollen joints. Dr. Sue would say it would be arthritis or rheumatism. And you mix 4 drops of Breathe oil, 4 drops of lemon oil, 2 drops of white fir in a roller bottle, and then top the rest off with fractionated coconut oil, and then apply that to irritated or painful joints. You can also use it for those who are singers, for a sore throat. She has a recipe that she calls have to sing in choir now. And this one, she just uses 2 drops of Breathe oil, 4 drops of lavender, and 2 drops of basil. And again, you can put that in a roller bottle and top it off with fractionated coconut oil, or you can use it straight. But that's 2 drops of Breathe, 4 drops lavender, and 2 drops of basil, and just massaged right onto your throat. And the last recipe that Dr. Sue has offered for this is one for shingles. And for that, she mixes 6 drops of Breathe with 10 drops of coconut oil and just spritz that on the blisters to help with the pain and to help the skin recover. So those are a couple ideas from Dr. Sue Lawton about how to use Breathe oil, and a couple little tips from myself. This is an oil that I think, you know, doTERRA got it right, putting it in every kit and really trying to empower us all. Breathe also has a full product line. So not only do we have just the Breathe essential oil in the 15 ml bottle, but we also have it available in the touch line for the kids, where it's the roller bottle, the 10 ml roller bottle that has fractionated coconut oil in it. It's available in a Breathe vapor stick, which is literally, it looks like a little tiny round deodorant stick, and it's meant to just rub on chest, rub it on your feet. There's Breathe drops that are safe for any age that can safely have a hard candy. But it's a Breathe drop, it's a respiratory drop that is awesome. I should have one right now, actually, with this little tickle that I'm dealing with in my throat. Hold on, actually. Katrina, will you bring me a Breathe drop? What's, she was already on top of it looking for one. But the Breathe products come in all sorts of different ways. So get creative. If you don't have all of them, find what you do have and use it, and you will find so much benefit. Breathe is also a great one to use at night because it helps get a quiet, restful sleep. If you have people who are snoring, using Breathe oil can help their sinuses to be opened up so they're not having quite such a noisy night. it's beneficial for so many different things. Again, use it, love it, enjoy it. I can't talk enough about it. So I have to force myself to move on, or you're never going to hear about our next oil today, which is another favorite oil. And I'm going to start with the emotional part of cinnamon bark first, because I think it's something that it's uncomfortable to talk about. It's uncomfortable to bring up and mention. And yet there are so many people who I feel can benefit from the emotional support that cinnamon bark can offer. On the Emotions and Essential Oil book, it is referred to as the oil of sexual harmony. This helps support the reproductive system and helps heal sexual issues, and assist individuals in accepting their body and embracing their physical attractiveness. Dispels fear of rejection and nurtures healthy sexuality. It rekindles energy where there has been repression, trauma, or abuse. Thank you, darling.
I'm going to try to breathe vapor.
That's okay. This will work. And I bring that all up because, you know, I think it's something that, I'll give you that. Thanks, darling. That
Always know to be ready.
Be ready, yes. We never have a shortage of breathe products in this house. Anyway, the cinnamon oil, it is one that I think is so powerful for so many women. Most women these days, we know, have had some kind of negative experience, whether it has been traumatic or whether it's just been put upon you by family or friends or society. And this can be an oil that can really help a woman just to become comfortable in her own skin, to find some hope again after a difficult situation, and to really just heal some of those emotional hurts. So that is why I was first introduced to cinnamon bark. And at first I was like, I don't need this, whatever, or not, I don't have any issues. I started using it and realized that there were some very deep-seated issues that I thought I had dealt with that I just had suppressed. And the cinnamon bark was like a gentle reminder and emotional support on how to address those concerns, address those issues, and yet move forward in a very positive way. So the cinnamon bark, emotional that way. As far as what cinnamon bark does, first of all, it's antibacterial, it's antidepressant, it's antifungal, it's anti-inflammatory, it's antioxidant, it's antiparasitic, antiviral, it's an aphrodisiac, it's a blood cleanser, it's a purifier. What else?
Any more anti?
Any more anti? No, I think that's all the anti it has. Oh, it really helps with candida. It helps to destroy, well, totally non-compliant here. Let's just be real. Cinnamon bark has been shown in some studies to help destroy common sources of E. coli, Salmonella, Staphylococcus, Listeria. It's been used to help with herpes and immune system stimulant. It's a natural diuretic. It mixes really, really well with citrus oils. It mixes well with cypress and frankincense, geranium, patchouli, lavender, rosemary, clove. I mean, you name it. This is a jack of all trades. This is an oil that is totally underutilized, but so, so powerful. So I love our cinnamon. Now, what I will say is that often in the spice world, what we buy at the grocery store thinking it's cinnamon is often cassia, because cassia is less expensive to produce. And when it comes to the essential oil world, you can kind of use cinnamon and cassia interchangeably as far as fragrance and the aroma that you're creating, but they do have very different chemical profiles, and they have very different uses. So cinnamon is the one that I would pull out when I need a heavy hitter, when I need big immune support, when I am going through something and I want the muscles. Cassia is an oil that I will pull out when I want to, when I want the smell, when I want the warm Christmassy aroma, when I want that kind of stuff. The other difference is cassia tends to be a little bit harsher on the skin. It's definitely a hot oil that you want to use diluted. Cinnamon bark, for some people, can be sensitive to it, but not everybody. So I still recommend diluting it just because that's a safe idea always. But some people don't need to. Cinnamon is a great one to help boost activity in the brain. It's a really great one as a brain tonic. Some people will just add it to their tea or water and drink that every day just for brain support. It also helps to remove nervous tension and memory loss. There was research done at the Wheeling Jesuit University in the US that has proven the scent of cinnamon has the ability to boost brain activity. Their team of researchers led by Dr. Zolads found that people who were administered with cinnamon improved their scores on cognitive activities such as attention processing, virtual recognition, memory, and working memory, as well as visual motor response. So this is a great one to diffuse while your kids are doing homework, or if you have a project that you're trying to work on. And it doesn't have to be just pure cinnamon bark. You could use the On Guard that has cinnamon in it. You could use it Holiday Joy. I think Cheer has cinnamon in it. You know, there's a lot of blends that have really pleasing aromatic profiles that have the cinnamon bark in it, and that's a great way to use it. Cinnamon also aids in the circulation of blood. It is one that can help like removing pain because it helps the blood circulate better. It does have some properties in it that can make it a blood thinner, so make sure you're aware of that if you have any blood conditions. You can significantly reduce your chance of getting a heart attack by regularly consuming cinnamon. And it also is a great one to help with gallbladder support because it helps to just clean the gallbladder and eliminate bacteria and unfriendly germs. Let's see. Oh, here's another one. I know you guys love the research stuff, and this one I have to read because I don't want to get it wrong. But researchers at the U.S. Department of Agriculture's Human Nutrition Research Center in Maryland studied the effect in various food substances, including cinnamon, on blood sugar. And they found that a water-soluble polyphenol compound called MHCP, which is abundant in cinnamon, synergistically acted with insulin and helped in the better utilization of insulin. So patients diagnosed with type 2 diabetes were using less insulin. To soothe diabetes progression, combine 5 drops of cinnamon with 5 drops of cypress and apply it to the bottoms and feet and over the pancreas. Now, with research like that, with information like that, I also want to make sure I put in that disclaimer and let you guys know that there's research out there. There are people studying essential oils and amazing results being found. But when in doubt, when you are dealing with some of these issues and you're not sure, work with your doctor. Talk to your doctor. Never just stop taking any medication that your doctor has on to try an essential oil. The two almost always work hand in hand, and you can stay on the medication and use your essential oils until the time in which your doctor is testing and realizing that your body does not need as much medication, and then hopefully it can help wean you off of that. But there's recipes, there's research, there's great things out there, and I want to see everybody have those benefits, but I also want to make sure we're being responsible and taking care of our health first and foremost. And if your doctor has prescribed something for you, make sure that you are working with them as to how to change that or how to get out of it if you want to try a more natural approach. And at the same time, if your doctor's not willing to do that, look for other doctors. There are doctors who are willing to partner and look for natural solutions. And even some of them will say, you know what, this your body right now needs this medication, and use your oils, use your skills and your natural solutions. But until your body can maintain on its own, we have to be responsible and safe and take care of ourselves. And sometimes those medications are what our body will need. So just make sure people are clear on that. Another thing that cinnamon can be used for is for extending energy, or for feeling people who are feeling really fatigued. You can mix 3 drops of cinnamon with 2 drops of bergamot and 3 drops of fractionated coconut oil and ingest that, or you can rub it over your pancreas. If you're going to ingest it, personally, I would put it in a veggie capsule just because I don't think I would love the taste of cinnamon and bergamot together. That's just me. A couple other things. Cinnamon's very, very effective for indigestion, for nausea, for vomiting, upset stomach, diarrhea, flatulence. It's due to its carminative properties that it is very helpful in removing gas from the stomach and the intestines. It relieves morning sickness and high acid. Cinnamon increases the action of enzymes that break down food in the body, aiding in the metabolic process and building younger cells. So there's some of the things with that. You can also go to, I'm not sure where it's at now. It used to be at Aroma Tools, and it might still be there. But there were some published results. Nicole Stevens, who is part of the doTERRA Science and Advisory team, was doing some testing on cinnamon on various cancer cells with amazing results. Like I said, her publication came out, and I believe you can get it at Aroma Tools. So now let's talk a few recipes before we head out on our way. Again, for emotional support, we talked what the book says about sexual harmony, but it also, cinnamon is a great oil as a sleep aid, a mood balancer for mental clarity. It can help those people who are just feeling really sad often, just have an uplifting mood. All of that can be best supported using the cinnamon in a diffuser. For those with post-traumatic stress, cinnamon, using 2 drops of cinnamon, 3 drops of balance, and 3 drops of geranium, and 16 drops of fractionated coconut oil in a roller bottle. Again, this is one that you don't fill up with coconut oil. You want it a little bit more potent. So cinnamon, 2 drops, balance, 3 drops, geranium, 3 drops, with 16 drops of coconut oil in a roller bottle can be great for post-traumatic stress. If you're feeling like you need a little bit of motivation and inspiration, you can use this recipe with 2 drops of cinnamon, 4 drops of clary sage, 2 drops of sandalwood, and 3 drops of frankincense. And that one is about 20 drops of fractionated coconut oil. We talked a little bit about the blood tonic, or the help with the circulatory system. For that, the best way to use the cinnamon oil would be to mix it with some honey. Mix up a tonic and then just let it stand covered for about 10 minutes before you drink it. And that would be about a teaspoon of honey with these oils, I'll tell you in a second. Let that stand for about 10 minutes and then stir that whole mix into a cup of hot but not boiling water so you don't damage the properties of the oils. But so with your teaspoon of honey, you mix 1 drop of cinnamon, 2 drops of wild orange, and 2 drops of digestin, 2 drops of melaleuca. Stir that with your honey, let it stand for about 10 minutes, then put that whole thing into a cup of hot water, and then sip it for about the 15 minutes, and it's gonna help as a blood tonic. Also, one of my favorite, I use cinnamon oil on the bottom of my feet. And this is another one for Cassia, Wintergreen, On Guard, any of the warming oils. I'll put it on the bottom of my feet when I'm going to be outside in the winter or when I'm going to be cold. And one, it helps with the circulation, but it also just helps keep my body warm all day long. So there is what we've got for you on Breathe and Cinnamon Bark. I hope you guys had a little bit of fun learning about a couple of my favorite oils. And we will be back next week. And once again, as tradition, I don't have the topics pulled up right off at the top of my head, but I'll find them for you before we hang up because I think that's just what we do. Anyway, I hope you guys are all having a fantastic weekend and looking forward to February with doTERRA's new promotions this month. We have a chance for anybody with new enrollments to get red mandarin oil for free. We also have passion oil is 10% off this month. So some great promotions. You can go to our Facebook group and get all of those. As for next week, we will be talking about, come on, Clary Sage and Clary Calm. We're apparently having a Women's Health Day. Anyway, I hope you guys have a fantastic day. Enjoy your weekend. I will send this recording out to anybody who wasn't able to join us live and talk to you all soon. Bye.